Well, it seems like a quiet time of the day and a nice cool day. In my head I'm supposed to be working, but I'm going to try and capture some video of the approach to my driveway that I've been working on for a year now. I'm in a new place, I've got a new garden growing, and although it's the second garden that I've started here, it's all technically first year garden. So I'll walk through and talk about some things that I've already taken pictures of, and hopefully not show off all the stuff I don't want to show off. So here's the approach with the neighbor's fence in the background, and just a small pan there. Was pretty wild, but it's been, I've been dealing with it. So that maple, still doing remarkably well, is out on the corner of the area I'm working because of an aphid farm. The ants are farming it, so out of respect for them, but not wanting to turn my farm into their farm, it's out by the corner. That was a plant donated. A couple things in there that there's a dandelion in there that I'm letting grow. We'll see what that turns into. And then this was donated. A clump out of a rich lady's garden. You can see down at the bottom there's dandelions, which I'm definitely encouraging. And there's some nice little flowers on this that are actually coming to flower on the purple vine that my friend wanted to save, so she brought it here so it could be saved. That right there is a blackberry that is too far in advance of its relatives. Move slow. I'm capturing video. So this is part of the border. This moss that I've saved from the ground and put back face down, and now I'm feeding it. And they picked most of the grass out of it, but some of the stuff is still coming up, and it'll have to be dealt with once that moss is fully seated in the earth, and I can pull the grass through the moss. Those clovers took off after I put them in there. You see all the bright green, fresh, new clovering going on there. That was really happy to get out of the pot. This lavender right beside it, also pretty happy to get out of the pot. There's those cornflowers I talked about before. And for my friend who brought this mugwort from her garden, I want to show her that after a treatment with the booster juice, the homemade organic booster juice, wildcrafted booster juice, while it was standing up that sharp this morning, there was no wilting whatsoever from the transplant. And as I have said, she seems delighted to be there. There's my stack of nettles and motherwort and comfrey and some other stuff. This chunk, that was grass in the last video. I'm presently scraping the qualities of soil down. This front chunk had its topsoil taken out because that's just about the best soil, I think, naturally existing here on the property. Just about the richest chunk of earth. I'm going to put a bunch of that dirt back in there. But first I'm going to scrape it down to the hard pan and put a nice base in there, so there's going to be, this corner is going to hold moisture. And even though I'm going to have to water it a lot this year, over the course of the next years, these perennial plants are not going to need so much water. They will come to this much life and thriving, as I'm showing here. I was just monologuing into the dirt. But in a way, it's also making my prayers for the earth too, eh? While I'm standing here looking at the earth that I'm going to work, is putting my energy into that, into what all of this is going to be, with the path that curves in there from the rubble you can see in the front that I'm gathering out of the soil. But it will look better. This is a stage of its development, so that's why I'm taking the video. It's mostly just to show off this big change. Still, happy to show off the growth of the other plants because everything is, you know, popping right up. I got a nasturtium. Where's that zinnia? My friend gave me 2 zinnias. One of them got eaten almost immediately. This one's getting ready to flower. She'll be happy about that. So will I. Look at this valerian. Look how dark that valerian root is. And it is taller than me. Standing at the same level as the rootstock, that valerian is a good 6 inches taller than I am. So I find that kind of encouraging, inspirational. Here's the tobacco bed. Not my own seeds this year. Took tobacco out of my friend's garden as weeds. They were just overwhelming the space she got. And even this morning, I got a bunch more little sprouts that I put in to replace the bigger plants, which have gotten a little bit ravaged by the slugs. You see those 3 fat holes in that leaf? There's a big slug chewing on that last night when I came out. And there are some other plants that are in some disarray, but all these little ones right here on this side of my feet, they're all just freshly planted, except for that one right in the center of the screen right now. That is a flowering tobacco and will not come up as much as the others apparently. So from there, turn to get a wider back view of that chunk of earth that I'm working on, and more of a view over here behind those plants that I showed you in the first place. There's the downstream or down the road area where I started, so I swung up across the front and then came right here. I should keep turning this way because that's the way I was turning. So anyways, so you're all reoriented on my mental map. Look at that nettle. That comfrey. That comfrey, I stuck it in between the, like right in the armpit of the crotch of that stump. So it's well contained. It's got really strong plants on the other side of it that are gonna like not give that comfrey any real root space to get out for a couple of years. Although eventually it'll tunnel through the stump and pop up somewhere out here. So yeah, this is the chunk there. That arm of the stump, I'm gonna highlight that by putting my pathway across that little dip in it. So it'll be visible on one side and visible on this side, but the path will go right up to it. And anyways, that'll be for next time. The thistle that I wanted to show off. This glorious thistle that I've decided to leave in my garden on purpose. I will take the flowers before they sprout and fly away. I'll take them for my fire mix. But this is a happy girl nettle. And you know what? If you don't touch her where she's sharp, she's pretty soft. And I think maybe part of having this deliberate symbiotic relationship. Honor up the thistle because it's a big part of my garden now. I'll get a better picture of it. Yeah, what most people see as dangerous weeds, well, they have a purpose for being like that. They're trying to protect ground that they're making better. Now, this one got planted like where it doesn't usually grow, in really rich soil to begin with, right up against a stump to begin with. And this one's going to live in my garden, but because thistles are what they are, I will let it flower, but I'm going to have to cut the flower heads off before they blossom and spread into the neighborhood like dandelions, because as much as I appreciate them, and I'll go and harvest them for fertilizer, other people don't appreciate them. So I'll do my best to contain them. So from here, from that path, did I show off my forest? trying to show stuff off without showing off all the things I don't want to show off. So, swept across the front of the driveway. Moved my forest, which I don't know if I'd moved it last time I took a video, and moved the lavenders out. So there's a bigger pile of stuff, but it's doing better under this ornamental plum, which has been absolutely ravaged by the caterpillars, but not as bad as the other trees. And so this gets early shade from the summer sun, and the plants in there are enjoying it immensely. They still get lots of broken light during the day. There's a trench I dug and planted some plants, a couple of Japanese maples which are taken off, and the lemon balm which hasn't recovered, and the feverfew which is immortal. And over there, a chunk of trash that's in a spot that I'm going to work next time. But nice and healthy. Dandelions in there, super healthy. I'm watering them, so I'm considering them part of my garden now. And I can just feel the rain of the day starting to smack me around. Let's get a shot of, did I get a shot of that? Another potato park in process, and there's going to be a plant anything pile. The dirt sifters that I made, and the piles of dirt in process, and the rain's coming, so I'm going to have to finish this stuff up and get it covered again. And so, evidence of more work done over there, not that anybody can tell, and not that it's important to the garden project. That's the 3 pots of fantastic mixed soil that I got out of the topsoil from the grass that I've set aside for my landlord to make use of, because it's just the best soil that will be gotten organically off the property. This thimbleberry, which has not flowered and provided fruit yet, but looks pretty freaking healthy this year. I've been feeding it, added it into my garden. This chunk was all covered in blackberries. This is all just dead earth that's going to have to get dug out of the ground and boarded up, and part of the process is like going to be figuring out how to keep these blackberries back. Anywho, back to the garden, because it's starting to rain. So I'm going to show off what I want to show off without showing off what I don't want to show off. There's a valerian. It's not the tallest one that I got. The tallest one I got is in the background there, those white flowers sticking above everything. Some plants on the side, some chard that should be in the garden. My immortelles are starting to blossom. I like that. Glad those have taken off and are enjoying my company. Clovers, look at those clovers. Look at the size of those nasturtium leaves. Look, there's the tip of my boot for comparison, right? Like, these are not like small little nasturtiums. Everything in my garden is enormous, right? Like, look at my peas. They're 1,000 feet tall. They're not really 1,000 feet tall, but you can figure that out if you're smart enough. Like, while I'm standing there pointing at it and saying, that's 1,000 feet tall. Not really. Got some things that are not doing as well as I wish they would, but keep on struggling. Those little peppers, I got a couple bands of peppers in there that I just sort of stuffed in, and I'm like, oh, I'll just have to see how well you do. There's the buffalo and the Buddha, recently moved, and the rain's going to come down harder soon. Soon. Here's a fuchsia I've been caring for a couple of years. It's always slow getting started. Can't seem to figure out if it wants to be a flower or not. And in the course of the local mythology that I have about that, makes a lot of fucking sense. Okay, so I've stepped into my garden. I'm in the center of it. That's off of the left doorway. Some little ganjas that need to figure out their gender identity, before they're going to get fed. Fed or executed. Jeez. How rash we are, eh? Anyways, those are the little ones. There's the tallest one so far. Whoops. And it's going to come back into the middle. All those ganjas are going to come back into the middle. I'm just got them moved to one side to work in the middle space. There's one of the fat old German tomatoes, those yellow tomatoes that my longtime fans will remember. Look at that comfrey doing really well. And that rosemary, that's the Fire Hall rosemary, which is doing well. And the only survivors of my black cap raspberry experiment so far. I'm glad the plants are doing well natively. Fava beans. Look at them fava beans. Carly gave me fava beans, and I love the flowers, and I'm jealous that mine are not as awesome as hers. But these are pretty fucking awesome, eh? That tomato needs a little tending. That's a Principia Borghese, which is going to be a big fat red one. It's going to go well with the yellow ones. Here's my first girl. I put her in a huge deep pot, like set that when she was just little in one of them little pots in the bottom of that. So, you know, she's already got like 3 feet of stalk underneath her. I imagine she's doing well root-wise. She's delighted, already flowering. That's how much she wants to be a girl. The queen of my garden right there. She's got to grow into her throne. These tomatoes. Happy with the tomatoes. There's a potato experiment. Got them fresh out of the bag. Cut them in half. Threw them in the willow water. Leave them out in the open air and UV light and see if they sprout. My curry plant, which needs some help, just needs to be trimmed. But really, I want the parts here. I want that part. Even get my finger in the frame. Oops. I want this part to take off. It wasn't. This stuff was all really healthy, but it's the stuff around the base that I wanted to do well. You can see there, arugula, 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 more fava beans, some stuff I can't even identify. There's a tomato, another Borghese. No, that's an OG, just having trouble standing up. I'm going to have to sort that out in a hurry, because those get heavy in a hurry. There's another girl, hopefully. She hasn't sorted herself out yet. And then there's chard going to seed, which is good because it'll grow again in this dirt that I'm mixing. And nettles in the garden because they're fertilizer and nitrogen fixers and putting fuel in for the other things. And Potato Park. This is the beginning of Potato Park 2, at least on this trip around. See, it goes behind the power pole there. Remember that because I'm going to step around the other side of the power pole, pick up the picture. Don't get lost. Okay, so Potato Park is to some degree fallen over. You might be able to identify there's nasturtiums growing in there, and there's a spinach there that's unfortunately neglected, just because I've got it stuck way back in the secret shadiest part of my garden. There's yew trees, just like staying alive and coming back to life down there in the shade of them potatoes. And I'm pretty sure that nightshade energy is helping them yew trees. There's the strawberries that won't be mentioned. Some kale in the potato pot. Some beans, peas, snap peas. And I should, by now, have a couple of peas. There's one. See if I'm getting it in frame. There we go. There's one that's ready. Off of this side. First one off of this side. Thank you for food. And there's another one there. That one's got good sweet to it. Excuse me. Let me see if I can show that off. Anyway. Never fresher. There's a ganja and a couple of tomatoes, 3 tomatoes. Taking over the spot where my willow bucket used to be. Oops. And that's the, well, sort of the dandelion bed. That was all the dandelions that were already officially part of my garden when I needed to transplant them out of other soil. And there's plenty of other dandelions in here that are part of, they're part of my garden. They're coming with me. I grow them for roots, I grow them for greens. And when I have enough of them growing, I'll harvest them for flowers and make mead, if I get there. But one day at a time, sweet mother of Jesus. One day at a time. Sweet mother of Jesus. Might as well finish off this spectacular adventure with a peek into my nursery, which only has a couple of plants in there right now because everything's pretty healthy, and even those are healthy in there. But that's where I can put stuff emergency wise and like have them out of the heat of the day. That bucket there is full of willow, which survived the caterpillar attack better than the taller willow in the bigger bucket. But that willow juice is actually kind of the motivator for that juice. Anywho, there's like a little bit of dirt, rich dirt that I'm saving. And then there's other shit all over the place, but I'm not going to show it. There's my magic pot of rocks and water in a copper pot for the birds and the bees and the butterflies and anything that needs to get a drink of water during the day. Alright, folks. Thanks for paying attention if you're paying attention. Everybody have a good day.